Hi guys, Ireland has a long history that connects it to Britain and to England in particular. Most people on the island are familiar with what has happened over the last 100 years, be it from different perspectives. Some years ago, Queen Elizabeth arrived in Ireland for the first time on an official state visit, and this was generally welcomed. She was also met by the deputy head of Sinn Féin and spoke a few words in Irish. The visit was seen as one of the greatest steps forward in Anglo-Irish relations. Now, as most of you know or can imagine, I'm no fan of the monarchy, but I found it very strange that somebody from Irish media would complain about the coverage the Irish state broadcaster is providing on the Queen's funeral. Have a listen to this.
I know it's easy to sneer at the Brits these days, and God knows I've done a bit of it myself over the last few days. You've this wave of nostalgia sweeping across the nation just across the pond. But I didn't realise that wave of nostalgia, that nostalgia for the days of empire, had even reached these shores, and had reached Dublin, and had reached Donnybrook, and Montrose, to be precise. RTE Television are going to broadcast the Queen's funeral. They're sending Ray Kennedy and others over to London on Monday, and from 10:30 they're going to have a special programme so that everybody in Ireland could gather around the television set in the corner, around its warm glow, and watch Her Majesty's commemoration. That's right, that's what they're spending taxpayers' money on. Taxpayers' money they are using to broadcast the Queen's funeral. Remember, everything that's broadcast on RTE is taxpayers' money. And I know they'll say, listen, there's people up north who for whom the Queen is head of state. But I hate to break it to RTE. Those people are not watching RTE. Those people up north are watching the BBC. And listen, I have no problem whatsoever in the wide earthly world with how the Brits commemorate their Queen and spend their money. But that's the exact point. She's their Queen and it's their money. She's not our Queen. So I don't know why we're spending our money putting it on our national broadcaster.
Okay. There are a number of things to say about this. So first of all, RTE, the state broadcaster, is not covering it like the BBC or ITV or Sky News for 10 days, 24/7. As he said here himself, it's from 10 a.m. They're doing a special report. Now, some people say, well, what's the point? As he raised here, well, what's the point? This is a foreign power. This is a foreign head of state. Why should we be bothered with that at all? Just imagine if it was a US president who had died. Do you think the state broadcaster would send somebody to Washington or to New York or wherever the president was lying in state? Do you think the state broadcaster would send somebody there to cover it for a few hours? Yeah, I think they would. And I think most people in Ireland would want them to do that. Some would argue that the connection, the modern connection between the Republic of Ireland and the United Kingdom is much stronger than any connection to the United States. And that can be argued either way. But as I said, if a US president had died, you would imagine the state broadcaster would go to Washington or New York and cover that. In the same way, you want the state broadcaster to go to Buckingham Palace or to go to London and cover this, because it's in the interest of the public. The public want this covered. And as I said, there's a long history, a long connection between Ireland and Britain. You know, avoid the politics for a moment. You can't get away from that fact. There is a long connection, a long historical connection. And the modern connection is the fact that many Irish people immigrated around the world, but they also immigrated to Britain. They worked there, they built lives there, they had families there. Some of them moved back, some of them did not move back. And Britain represented a home for many people. And the head of state for those subjects or those citizens was of course Queen Elizabeth. So you can't look, once again, you know, I hate to be arguing this point because I'm anti-monarchist, but it's just stating a fact here. She represented something very important in the minds of many people in Ireland. They don't have to be pro-monarchy. It's people who have, as he said as well, a sort of nostalgia. Many people relied on Britain for employment, relied on Britain for a home. There are still many connections to Britain. I have family myself living in Britain. I have friends living in Britain. So it seems natural to me that the state broadcaster would send some journalists over there for a few hours to cover the funeral. Yes, it's a cost. But if the Japanese president died, the US president died, the Chinese president died, you would be hoping that the state broadcaster would send a few journalists over there to cover the story. Or maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.